there's anything that we really would like you to give some thought to, and that is think about what are your objectives? What is it that you want to do? And with that, then we are able to help you to come up with a game plan, to come up with a structure, to come up with a process, to come up with different methods that will allow you to accomplish those objectives. So we don't want you to overthink it. This would be somewhat like you having an ailment or an ache in your arm, and you say, well, let me go on WebMD and find out all I need to know about this so I'll know the right questions to ask the doctor. I think the better thing to do is just to go in and say, Doc, I've got this pain in my shoulder, and leave it to the physician to do the diagnosis about what's the best way to deal with the issue. One of the things we'd like to know when we first meet with the client is what are their objectives, and then from their objectives we can then begin to consider the potential types of organizational structure that they should have. Should it be a limited liability company? Should that limited liability company be formed in the state that they're operating, or should it be formed in Delaware and then registered as a foreign corporation in the state that they're operating? Should it be a subchapter C corporation? Should it be a subchapter S corporation under the Internal Revenue Code? Should it be a general partnership, or maybe a limited partnership, or a limited liability partnership? So there are a variety of different organizational structures that will be rolling around in our heads as we hear the client talk about what his or her objectives are, and we'll then, as we get toward the end of that story, we'll be able to make a recommendation on what we consider to be the better corporate form to take on. Now, having settled on a corporate form, we certainly would want to consider whether or not the employment agreements with key people would be essential to that business endeavor, whether non-compete agreements would be something that would be appropriate at this early age or stage of formation, non-solicitation agreements, whether they should be inserted at this point in the organizational process. And so these are the kind of things that we then insert into the conversation that often, the person contemplating a startup, may or may not have given a great deal of thought to. And then we can talk with them about the importance of these things and why they should consider it, or discuss with them that we have considered it, but we may or may not think that it's appropriate at this point in time. So once we've got these foundational elements sorted out and decided and have made a decision on which ones that we're going to include as part of this development organizational structure, then we can stand by and offer to that new startup and operate kind of like an external partner, so they can keep their focus on their business.